What's up guys, it's TJ here. So in this video I want to talk about how bad habits affect your brain and what the neurochemistry is like and why it's so difficult to overcome those patterns seemingly in the beginning. So what happens is over time you engage in the same patterns of activity over time, and you start to develop, because of that, you start to develop neural pathways in your brain. These neural pathways are like networks, like highways that are that get set up, and your actions are the cause of that. So they get set up, and it's easy for the electrical activity to fire in that way because those patterns are already set up. So what happens is you engage in those patterns and your brain will produce dopamine. It will produce feel-good hormones associated with that behavior, even if that behavior is not the best thing for you. So NoFap, especially addictions, other bad habits, they alter your brain chemistry in a way that makes it increasingly difficult for you to find the little things in life pleasurable. So, for example, I'll take NoFap for example because that's what I have first-hand experience with, to be honest. So, when you constantly engage in fapping or any type of behavior, you're flooding any type of negative behavior over time, repeatedly. You're flooding your brain with dopamine constantly. And what that's doing is it's lowering your threshold, your baseline. So you're flooding your brain with dope. Let's take orgasm for example. Fapping, you have repeated orgasms, all depending on how many times you masturbate or whatever. You are flooding your brain constantly with dopamine to the point where orgasm is such a powerful event for the brain that it floods your neurotransmitters with dopamine to the point where it's like they start going like this because that dopamine is getting too loud. That dopamine influx is getting too loud. So the receptors shut down as a way to cope with all that noise. And so as a result for you, your dopamine threshold now lowers, so you need to engage in more of the said activity in order to generate a pleasurable feeling. So not only that, but it takes away your ability to feel pleasure in the little things. So it's kind of like you're numbing yourself to, you're numbing yourself to life. So you ask, okay, how can I get myself out of this? Well, how did you get yourself into this in the beginning, in the first place? You repeated an activity over and over and over again and established a neural network. So what you have to do is you have to do something else. You have to stay away from that activity and not give that pathway any firing. Stay away from the triggers that are associated with that pathway and engage in bringing about a new pathway. The good thing about the brain is what's called neuroplasticity. It's the fact that the brain can be changed. It's malleable. So you're not stuck in this pattern if you really don't want to be. It will be difficult depending on how strong that pathway is, how long you've been engaged in said activity, but you can change it, and it just takes a matter of time and engaging in a different sorts of activities that stay away from your triggers. So in the NoFap community, there is the tendency to be triggered easy you know, and the relapses come when the triggers come. You know, the people will be like, yeah, I was triggered at day 3 or day 7 and I relapsed, you know. And what you have to do is you have to, if you can't stay away from those triggers, you have to be mindful of when that effect is happening to you, and you have to fight it. You have to fight it. Because what's going to happen over time is the more that you fight, the more that you stay away from those triggers, your new pathways start to begin. You start to, the energy over here starts to deteriorate. It becomes less and less imposing on your brain. And then the little things start to become more enjoyable because you're rewiring you're engaging in something else. So you're rewiring your brain to enjoy whatever it is that you're doing that's not your triggers. So there's this molecule called oxytocin, which is another feel-good molecule. And oxytocin is so great because what it does, it actually, the more it's generated, the more it's stimulated, it actually increases your sensitivity to it. So dopamine is one of those, is associated with like that, I need more, you know, because it gives you that good quick rush, lowers your threshold. For example, if you've had sex, you know, and both of y'all, both partners orgasm, or you orgasm, whatever, you're going to see that literally the next day or right after, you're going to want to do it again. Dopamine has an addictive tendency to it because of the nature of it, the nature of what it does to your brain. Oxytocin, on the other hand, stimulates more sensitivity to it. So the more you do it, the more you become sensitive to it. And oxytocin is a bonding-based molecule. It's stimulated when we engage in bonding-based activity because humans have two types of, we have multiple programs, but baseline programs in the brain, we have fertilization-based sex, you know, fertilization-based driven program where a lot of aspects of our biology are driven towards fertilization. Then you have bonding-based mechanisms, which are also inherent to our nature. So oxytocin is on the bonding side, you know, stimulated by like touch, hugging, kissing, caressing, all these bonding, you know, bonding-based activities. So you're going to find that you switch your behavior, alter your patterns to essentially a different aspect of your nature. That's what it's going to take for you to, you know, stay away, in terms of the NoFap community, you know, to stay away from those triggers and that other program that kind of puts you in a rut and you gotta deal with your brain chemistry and it's difficult and you might be triggered. You gotta take I'll say the other nature. You know, you have another nature that you can fall back on as long as you give it attention and you give it the time of day. So it can be done. You know, it can be done. It's a matter of brain chemistry. You have to stay away from those triggers. You have to do things that set up a new set of neural pathways, and that's just going to take time. It's going to take discipline, and it's going to take effort. It's a lot of people are, you know, shy away from it or relapse because these neural pathways are already set up. So it's easy to just, you know, I'll do it tomorrow, or like one more can't hurt, and you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're just making that pathway stronger. So when you're on this side, those urges are gonna be even more powerful because you kept on staying over here and giving these the time of day. You have to start now. Start now because time is one of the big factors. Momentum, you got to get momentum. It's a brain chemistry thing. You know, you've been doing said pattern for Lord knows how long. I'm sure you've been doing said pattern longer than you have not been doing it. So you already are behind the ball. So you have to start now. So yeah, I think this is an important conversation because, you know, I myself have been afflicted by it, and I know people that are close to me that want to change, you know, that want to change their patterns of behavior but find it difficult. And addictive behavior is a difficult thing, and not a lot of people know that you're dealing with brain chemistry, and brain chemistry is a serious deal because it governs your behavior, it governs your actions. So you find out the source of what it is, then you'll understand what is necessary in order to change it. Another thing that I want to mention is, if you are trying to do this, one thing that might help you is you're going to have to engage your brain in other activity, right? In other activities to stay away from your triggers. So put yourself in a space where you're stimulating your brain. You know, you're keeping your brain stimulated, but you're stimulating in a way that's now beneficial for you. For example, think about something that you want to learn about, learn something new, you know, engage your mind in something that is stimulating but is beneficial for you. Basically keep your mind and your brain occupied, you know. So you'll start, say you want to learn something new, for example. You're engaging your brain and you end up retaining something new. You're going to see that it's going to feel beneficial to you. So continue doing stuff like that, you know, stuff that is beneficial for you, that progresses you, is progressive in nature, and at the same time it's stimulating your brain, so you get that reward. You know, set up those neural pathways, and then you're going to find over time these things are going to become more interesting to you. These things are going to drive your pattern behavior, is going to start to move towards this, towards activities that are beneficial for you. So you have to switch what you are occupying your time with. You see, this is a lot of wasted time. You know, this pathway over here is not doing nothing for you. It's not doing nothing but bringing you back. A waste of time. So you have to make your time valuable. Remember, you're not here forever. You're not here forever. And I'm sure you want to move forward. So make your time valuable. Invest your energy on things that you are interested in, things that you want to learn about. Go read a book. Go do some research on something that you care about. You know, what can you do to make yourself better? So that's all I really wanted to talk about today. So yeah, if you got anything from this video, like, subscribe, comment. Let's build on it. Momentum. Keep moving forward. You can do it. And like I always say, a greater perspective can lead to a greater connection. Peace.